Alright guys, how's it going? My name is Nyxre and welcome back to another episode of The Good, The Bad, and The Teemo, where today I'm going to be covering Blue Build Ezreal. Here's a quick reference guide for anyone interested in seeing how I went about testing this particular build. I post these along with every episode in the series, and you can find an Imgur link to this image down in the description below. You probably won't be too shocked at this particular build, as it is already a widely adopted strategy, so for the most part the items that you're going to want aren't really going to change from game to game. So let's start off with the primary reason why Blue Build Ezreal exists. It adds crowd control to a champion which otherwise has absolutely none whatsoever. This is normally considered one of the cons of playing Ezreal, as he can't normally offer any utility to a team composition. Iceborne Gauntlet single-handedly fixes this problem by giving him some soft CC. Additionally, Ezreal has very long range with his Mystic Shot. This is obviously true regardless of how you go about building him, but because you will have some soft crowd control, you'll most likely be able to easier take advantage of your longer range. This extra range allows for you to make many small trades in lane that will almost always come out in your favor. Blue Ezreal will also have 40 to 45% CDR most of the time when you build it. This is much better than a traditional AD carry build or the more popular Triforce Ezreal build, as it will allow for you to get off more of your skill shots in a shorter duration. This can also prove to be useful in the occasional instances where you find yourself trying to help secure a Dragon or a Baron buff, as you'll be able to continuously fire out shots toward the enemy team to try and keep them at bay. Blue Ezreal excels extremely well in the late game as a result of both of his insane chase and kiting potential. The constant slow provided from the Iceborne Gauntlet means that landing a single Mystic Shot is normally enough to either force the enemy to opt into a fight or burn a summoner spell. At the same time, retreating is always an option, as the slow is a good deterrent for keeping enemy tanks from trying to dive you, and to make up for the ramp up time needed for Blue Build Ezreal, he is very safe in lane as his Arcane Shift is arguably one of the best escapes in the game. It completely counters supports like Thresh and Blitzcrank, as you can still use ability even while grabbed. It also proves useful against other crowd control heavy supports like Morgana and Leona. And finally, another good thing about Blue Build Ezreal is that he's naturally going to be slightly more tanky than a more traditional AD carry build. Iceborne Gauntlet gives him a bit of extra armor, which works nicely with building either Mercurial Scimitar or Guardian Angel. This tiny bit of extra defensive stats can sometimes be the difference in winning a trade and returning to the fountain. Moving on to the bad, Blue Build Ezreal is very reliant on the cooldown from his Arcane Shift. Anytime you go in for a trade or a fight, you'll need to have it off cooldown to ensure you can remain safe. Sometimes you may find yourself proccing the Iceborne Gauntlet effect, but still not able to close the gap to finish off a kill because your Arcane Shift was already used. On top of this, falling behind as Blue Build Ezreal can be absolutely devastating for your team. This particular build is 100% reliant on making it to the late game, or you'll be able to dish out tons of damage. The longer it takes for you to get to that point, the less likely it may be for your team to hold on. Another bad thing about building Ezreal this way is that his early trades are absolutely terrible. This is primarily due to the fact that the tiers offer absolutely no combat stats, and you'll be spending a large portion of the early game trying to stack it up. And lastly, Ezreal is a very difficult champion to pick a Keystone Mastery for. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, however, your choice will likely dictate how you go about playing the match. Currently, your two options are Thunderlord's Decree and Fervor of Battle. Thunderlords is much better for the early game where it can benefit from your short trades, but it suffers in the late game where you'd want more damage with each ability. Alternatively, Fervor of Battle doesn't help you at all in the early game as you'll have very few combat items, but it proves to be a very good late game once you've reached full build. Unfortunately, you can only take one and will lack a bit in either phase depending on your choice. Moving on to the Teemo, this is a section that deals with the biggest problems of building Blue Build Ezreal and are the primary reasons why you would consider building him a different way. The biggest of these problems is that Blue Build Ezreal has the slowest ramp up time of any popular AD carry build in the game. While other marksmen such as Varus and Urgot also build tier, they can then go on to build items which immediately give them damage. Ezreal cannot, as he needs Iceborne Gauntlet for the slow. Because of this, you'll likely find yourself going into the late game anytime you go for the blue build. Another crucial thing about Ezreal is that all of his abilities are skill shots. This obviously doesn't change based off the build, but it's something which will turn many players away immediately. While you can spend all game farming up until your full build, it'll all be for naught if you're unable to land any of your abilities. And finally, Blue Build Ezreal is a very mechanically intensive champion, even more so than other Ezreal builds because of the lack of damage coming from your auto attacks. Knowing how to sneak in a few autos here and there while continuously throwing out a barrage of skill shots will prove difficult for many who attempt it. But that's it for Blue Build Ezreal. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. I personally do not consider myself to be a very mechanically proficient player, so Ezreal isn't really my type of champion. However, when I do play him, I traditionally do go for the blue build, simply for the amazing amount of power that it offers in the late game. Feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy the video, and subscribe if you're new around here and like to see more. If you didn't like the video, feel free to leave a dislike. All I ask is that you leave a comment with what you believe I could have done better, so that my future content can continue to improve. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.